Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of, early edition of Cracking the Cryptic. This is the edition where I actually get to crack a cryptic crossword. We tackle the Times crossword every Friday because normally Friday is the hardest day of the week. And indeed, I think the Snitch rating today suggested this is definitely a harder than average puzzle and close to the hardest of the week, although not as difficult as last week's monstrous Friday puzzle. Let's have a look at the stats for this one. There you go. Magoo, that is Mark, 6 minutes 11, so that's taken Mark longer than it normally would. So that instantly suggests it's a harder puzzle. And indeed, John McCabe there with 7 minutes 14. John McCabe's been putting in some ludicrous times. There was one time this week that was under 3 minutes for a Times crossword. So yeah, I'm now convinced that this is difficult. Now, what else did I want to mention? There was one other thing I wanted to mention. If you are an aficionado of cryptic crosswords, you should definitely have a look at this wonderful puzzle that Steve Pemberton, the sort of writer, actor, comedian, came up with, that was featured on an episode of Taskmaster. I might have a flyer for it. There we go. Yes. This puzzle was discussed in an episode of Taskmaster. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a brilliant puzzle, and I had a chance to solve it in a video earlier in the week. So if you haven't had a look at that puzzle stroke video, do check it out. I think you'll be, I think you'll enjoy it, and I think what Steve did with the puzzle is incredibly witty and clever. So I'm sure that will be of interest to some of you. And with that, let's have a look. It's this one, isn't it? It's not. I don't get to do the quick cryptic unless I might have a go at it at the end. Let's get cracking. Blooming angry expression during riparian activity. Does that mean agricultural activity? I can never remember what riparian means. Or riparian, I suppose. Blooming angry expression. I mean, it's okay. I don't know what this is, but riparian activity. If letters indulge in activity, I think the idea is that they might shuffle around. So I suspect this is an anagram of riparian surrounding an angry expression like bar or pa, P-A-H, or and it all means blooming. And the answer is blooming. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, I'm afraid. Let's see if we can get one down. Keep a watch on this uprising from Benin's capital. Now, I'm hoping we don't need to know the capital of Benin because I don't know it. Keep an eye on this. Uprising from Benin's capital. I have not got a clue what that is. I mean, Benin's capital could be the letter B, which is the capital letter in the word Benin. And I think it means keep a watch on. Fob. Yes. Okay. So the constructor got me there. If you keep. I was reading keep a watch on this as to keep an eye on this. But what is something you actually keep a pocket watch on? And you keep it on a fob, F-O-B. Now that's got Benin's capital in it. Right, and if you're from somewhere, you're of that place, aren't you? So it's uprising, it's a down clue. So if something is uprising, it can be reversed. Now that's different. That is a strict difference between across clues and down clues. References to things going upwards are only reversal indicators in down clues. The same in across clues. If you see a reference to something going from east to west, that could be a reference to reversal. But it couldn't be a reference to reversal in a down clue. So we've got of reversed plus Benin's capital B, and that gives us. This isn't something like. My idea about riparian activity being an anagram is total nonsense. Look. I was wondering about something. Blooming is like flowering. I don't know. 9 across. Bet on clubs without experience, then left pools activity. Pools activity, what's that? Is that sort of a reference to what you do in a swimming pool, or is it literally a reference to the football pools? Bet on clubs without experience. If you're without experience, you're green, or naive, or raw. Then left. Well, that sounds like it ends in L. And I think this is going to mean pool, an activity that you do in a swimming pool. Let's see if we can get 5 down. Where many films are made. On set. With family member. In-law? This is where many films are made. Oh, it is in-law. That's beautiful. I really like this. Okay. So where many films are made is not on a film set. It's in the city of Los Angeles, in LA, where there is Hollywood. So in LA, with can be abbreviated to W, and that gives in-law, which is a family member. That's a beautiful clue. Oh, that reminds me, there was an incredible clue I wanted to tell you all about that was in yesterday's puzzle. I hope my brain will remind me to remember that, because we should check that out, because it's an incredible. There was one incredible clue in yesterday's puzzle that was so incredible I meant to tweet about it and then forgot. But let me just talk about something else, which is that the word with here I said could be a W. I say it every week, but it bears repeating. You can't just abbreviate any word in a cryptic crossword clue to its initial, even though that's what some people think you can do. You can't. It has to be supported by the dictionary. So I've got my dictionary. Oh, not in the right place though. So if we look under the abbreviation W in this dictionary, this is Chambers, which is pretty good crossword dictionary, we will find, there we go, with, explicitly listed. And that is why with can be abbreviated to W. So if you see the word made in the clue, M-A-D-E, if we look under M, we will not find the word made, no matter which, how many. You see there's a whole load of abbreviations that are given, but none of them are the word made. So you can't abbreviate the made in that clue to M. And you may say, well, that's really unfair. How am I ever going to learn the abbreviations? Lots of them actually are not so surprising, like left and right being L and R, or hot and cold being H and C. You might have seen those on taps, for example. So lots of them aren't surprising, or small and large for what you might see on a t-shirt label. Admittedly, there are some that are surprising, and you do just have to learn them, which will take time, but it is achievable. It is achievable. Right, now we go to W and 12 across. Women's accessory model shows item I can't name. This is going to be something like what's it, isn't it? An item you can't make. You would go, oh. In fact, I probably say it a lot in the crossword videos. It's like, what's that? So women's accessory. Okay. It is what's it, isn't it? in fact, I'm going to go back to W, because W, I'm pretty sure can be women's. You might see that on a lavatory, I think. Let's see. I'm going to put what's it in, even if I can't find women here. Women, there we go, it is there, under capital W. Women or women's. So, that is this W here. An accessory is a hat. And if you model for something, you sit for it. And that gives what's it, which is a name you might give something you can't remember. Now, we don't get very good checking letters from that. We do get an L at the end of 9 across, sorry. Should we go for 2 down? That would be a good one. Take place of officer, knocked over by bounder. Okay, so this is one of those clues that I'm afraid the reason I've solved this quickly is because it's because I've seen clues that use officer before. And I know officer can be a commanding officer. Which is CO. So, As usual with a cryptic crossword clue, our first job is to say what is the definition, because every cryptic crossword clue will have a quick crossword definition in it. Or if you're watching this from the States, it will have a clue like you'd see in the New York Times crossword. So just a definition of the answer. There's always one of them, and they're always, almost always anyway, at the start or the end of the clue. So here it's take place of. Or take place, I suppose, is probably more precise. It's take place. So can you think of a 5-letter word for take place? I think we all could do that. Once you're told what the definition is, some of these clues will become easy. Now, the answer is made out of, so that's what the word of is doing in the clue, officer knocked over. Well, if I tell you that officer is a commanding officer, CO, if that's knocked over, that would give us OC. And a bounder is a cur or a rogue. If I could type it would be. So to occur is to take place. And we can put all that together and it's not too difficult. So this could be flower something. Blooming. Oh, it could end ing as well. Let's go for that. 6 down. Terrifying force. Once affected stoppage with power cut. Okay, right. So, this is... Yeah, it's an interesting wording of the clue. So the clue is trying to hint about something to do with electricity, I think. The answer is nothing to do with electricity. So again, I'll tell you what the definition is. The definition in this clue, always at the start or the end, terrifying force once is the definition. Now, how do I know that? How did I know that when I read the clue? Well, it's because there are certain parts of the clue that are giving you instructions that can only be what I would call wordplay. Remember all of these clues as well. Once you cut the definition out of them, they can be read like mathematical equations. So let's read the rest of it and see why I think this is all wordplay. Affected stoppage. Well, affect, if you affect something, you do things to it, don't you? So affected here is being used as an anagram indicator. It's saying anagram the word stoppage. And with power cut, what could that mean? Well, it could mean something to do with electricity being cut off, but in a cryptic sense, it could be saying take an abbreviation for power, which, yeah, you've guessed it, is P, and cut that out of the word stoppage. And if we cut one of those P's out of stoppage, we are left with 7 letters. And if we anagram those 7 letters, you will be able to come up with something that could be, in a cryptic way, a terrifying force once. So let's just show you power. I can't remember which bit of physics. It's normally an equation. Power, there we go. Can't remember an equation that had P in it for power. No, I can't. But anyway, hopefully you've all now got the anagram. Gestapo is what we're looking for there. So ing is going to be right in one across, but flower, blooming. It's not going to be something like fluorescing. No, I think that's the wrong number of letters. Blooming, flower, flourishing, I suppose. Oh, I quite like that as an idea. Let's put that in. Now, why is that? Angry, fishing. Oh, riparian. Yeah, oh, riparian is to do with banks. It's not to do with agriculture. Yeah, okay. Right, so that's my ignorance. I'm sorry. So, an angry expression, if you lour at someone, L-O-U-R, you sort of scowl at them. It's an angry expression. And a riparian, I think riparian now, my brain has finally caught up, means something to do with banks. Yeah, there you go. Of or inhabiting a river bank. So a riparian activity is fishing. It's something you might do on a river bank. And so we've got fishing around lour for flourishing. Okay, what's this then? Back something? Back pedal? Bet on it. Okay, if you bet on something, you back it, don't you? Back a horse, you bet on it. Clubs without Oh, back crawl. It's okay. Okay. So clubs there is C, and that abbreviation comes from bridge. If you've played the card game Bridge, and if you ever read the bridge column, I mean, sometimes they might put a symbol for clubs, but the bidding might be represented as 1C, one club, for example. So clubs, hearts, diamonds, and spades, yeah, they can be C, H, D, S. They are valid abbreviations. So we've got, oh, it was raw. I even thought of raw and then didn't put the L with it and think that there was a word. That's really annoying. So back crawl, pools activity. So I had a lot of the right thoughts, but unfortunately I couldn't put it together. So 3 down. Dog around London area shows what retriever does, recalls. No. Okay, it's not that. Okay, but I had to think about this a bit. Right. So again, let's try and work out what the mathematical equation how can we read this clue as a mathematical equation? So let's start. Dog around London area. Now around here, I think, is very clearly saying put one word around another. It's to do with the position of things, and anything that's to do with the position of things is very, very likely to be wordplay. So if that's right, we need to look at the other end of the clue to find the definition. So dog around London area shows, well, think of the shows there as equals. So if we can put a word for a dog around something to do with a London area, that will equal what a retriever does. Now remember, cryptic crossword writers are always trying to mislead you. That's true, but they always have to say what they mean. So what retriever does in the context of a sentence about dogs, you might be thinking, okay, it's something to do with what a golden retriever does. That is not necessarily the case. We just have to think of what retriever does, especially that question mark there. It might mean something, you know, we might have to think of a retriever in a totally different sense. But anyway, let's carry on. London, I mean, this is a bit of crossword ease, which is quite outrageous really, but it does come up a lot. A London area, what's that? If you're watching this from America, you're going to think this is outrageous. In fact, from anywhere else, you're going to think this is outrageous. But EC is a London postcode. So London area and EC are in fact synonymous. Now look, we've got a C in the clue, so I think that means this. And now we need a 5-letter word for a dog beginning with R that's all going to equal what a retriever does. Well, what's the name? What's a common dog's name? And it's Rover. And recover is something very much something a retriever does. They would recover something, not in the doggy sense, but in the retrieving, literally retrieving something sense. So that is going to be the answer. Now let's try 4 down. Mark and I keeping lots of coffee for Italian who worked in bars. Okay, I don't know what this is yet. I have got a possible answer. I have got it actually now. Yes, I have got it. But again, this is quite a good clue for thinking about it mathematically. And it's quite a good clue for seeing how constructors write their sentences in ways that are designed to form a picture in your mind which is completely misleading. It's a very good clue, this one. So let's read it. Mark and I keeping. What could keeping mean if we're allowed to think in terms of position of things? That might mean they're surrounding something. So a word for Mark and I keeping lots of coffee. What could that mean? It could mean, I don't know. Is there a word for an enormous jug of coffee? There might be. I can't think of it. But it could mean most of a word that means coffee. So can you think of a short word for a coffee that you could shortened slightly. And that is all going to equal, the word for here is doing the duty of an equal sign, an Italian who worked in bars. Well, what that's trying to conjure up in your mind is a barista or something like that. Somebody who's working, or somebody who's making coffee in a coffee serving place or in a bar. But what other types of bars are there? How about musical bars? Literally on a score. And an Italian who worked in bars musically. So it's actually, what we're looking for here is the name of a composer. Now, how are we going to get this then? Can we think, given if we've understood the structure of the clue correctly, the first thing that's going on here is there should be a synonym for the word mark, beginning with S. Short synonym. And the answer there is scar. Mark and I, so we'll put I at the end, are going to keep a word that means lots of coffee. So think of a short word for coffee and take most of that word. The word is latte. Wah! And then we can create Scarlatti. I want to say Dominic Scarlatti. I don't know why I want to say that, but Scarlatti, I know a bit of Scarlatti because Scarlatti, I think, composed, or at least some of his stuff was transcribed for guitar. And obviously, something's flown into my room. Go away thing. Anyway, yeah, so Scarlatti is going to be right there. Now, what's this? Unravel? Arrival, maybe. Well, okay. I know what this might be, but I don't really know the word. A little craft roughly shown by French composer. So again, let's try and read this as a mathematical equation. So a little craft, that could be saying take a little of a word for a craft, or it could be saying a little of the word craft, perhaps the first letter of it, the C. Roughly could be an anagram indicator. That. If you've had that thought, that's very sensible. Shown by French composer. Well, it's that final bit that's the clincher for me, because if we're going to show something by a French composer, that suggests we need a short word for a French composer that we need to have somewhere, probably at the end of this clue, and this is the key, because if you know Ravel, you can write Ravel in there. Now, so now that suggests, if we think that the French composer is Ravel, then we know the other side of the clue is the definition. So it's a little or a little craft. Now, can we think of any short synonyms for the word roughly? And I can. Circa, CA. So I think caravel might be a word for a little craft. It's not a word I know. Is it like a caravan or something, but on the water? I'm not going to change that answer, so I'm going to look it up. So I won't forget to do it later. If it's wrong, I'm going to feel like oh my goodness, it is wrong. Oh no, it isn't wrong. Oh, good. A light Mediterranean sailing ship, also carvel. Wow. Okay, so that's good, and my thinking was reasonably sound there. So let's have a look at 11 down. Fair, initially cheap, on paper that said to raise a smile. I haven't got... Yes, I have got it now. Okay, sorry, I had to think about this one for a while. So, I don't know about you, but when I first read this clue, the thing that struck me was that said to raise a smile. And I was thinking, to me anyway, that immediately made me think of when people take a photograph. And what do you say if you're about to take a photograph and you want somebody to look good? You often say cheese. So I thought the answer was probably something to do with cheese, especially as fair, F-A-R-E, is food, isn't it? I mean, it could be a train fare, but it could also be food. So is this some sort of cheese? Now, initially cheap is saying take the initial letter of the word cheap. That's C. On paper, well, 500 sheets of paper is, I think, called a ream. And that would give us cream cheese, which is certainly a type of fare. I'll just check that ream is 500 sheets of paper. It might not be. It's some sort of number of paper. 516 sheets of paper in a printer's ream. How many? 20 quires. That's how much is it, isn't it? Oh no, a quire. Yeah, okay. A quire is 24 sheets of paper. So, oh, now often 25. Well, if it was 25, it would be 500. So, anyway. Nearly anyway. It's roughly 500. Let's try 13 across. Eastern translation of the inspiring one-down producer. Eastern translation of the inspiring one-down producer. Now, one down, if we look at the answer to one down, it's fob. Eastern translation of the. I mean, translation of the is an interesting expression in a cryptic crossword. Imagine this clue was a French translation of the, and we stopped it there. That would be suggesting a word like le or la, wouldn't it? What is the French translation of the word the? But you don't normally need to know any sort of Eastern language translations in the cryptic crossword. So Eastern here, I'm thinking, is the E at the start. So I think this is going to be, fob producer. I don't know, I'm just clueless about this. I'm sorry, I haven't got a clue. Let's try 17 across. Producing plans, map making is the first thing that's coming up. Well, that's got kin in it, hasn't it? Relative captures pawn before more valuable. More valuable piece. King. Oh, a king is a more valuable piece than... Oh, there's all sorts of kins going on here. Oh, right. So, right, relative is not kin. That's the point. It is map making, which is producing plans. How do we get this to work from a wordplay perspective? Well, a relative is your mama, M-A-M-A, and that's capturing P for pawn, which is a valid abbreviation. You will have seen that if you ever followed chess and you look at chess notation. And then a more valuable piece than a pawn in chess is the king. So that gives us map making. That one wasn't too bad, but maybe only because we had the M at the start. Let's try and make use of the H. Possibly go and haunt this place. Possibly go and haunt. Okay. I don't know what this is yet, but I'll tell you how I'm reading it. Possibly go and haunt. Possibly can be an anagram indicator. I don't think it. I mean, it just can be. You would just have to remember that. I think the way it's meant to be read is possibly these letters could be made into the answer. So possibly go and haunt. Well, go, if we take it with the word haunt, is 7 letters, and that's how many words we need. So, and then this place. So if it is that, what is the answer? I might not know this. I can't see it. I'm sorry. The clue might be different. We might have to think differently about how the clue works. I'm not seeing the anagram there, so we can't do that. Let's try 24 across. Tree resin. There is some weird tree resin beginning with E. Something like elemi. So let's keep an eye on that. That could be the answer here. Tree resin extracted from lime leaning to the wet. Okay. So I say this every week, and it's because it's true. There is often one of these in the Times crossword, and if there is one, there will only be one, because the Times crossword editor does not allow more than one hidden answer in the puzzle. So here, this is an example of a cryptic clue where the answer is literally written in the clue. Now, when this happens, the clue writer can't just hide the answer in the clue and not tell you it's hidden in the clue. It must be indicated. And here, tree resin is the definition, and it says extracted from, so we can extract from the words lime leaning, so look at the string of letters lime leaning, to the west, well that's telling us to reverse them, and we can extract, and if you look in the middle of lime leaning, spelt out backwards, E-L-E-M-I, elemi. That's a weird word, and I only know it from crosswords. So, and we don't get any good checking letters from that, but let's try 27 across. Perhaps stuff Scots to put back. Oh, goodness me. Perhaps stuff Scots to put back. Well, the reason that's terrifying is it sounds like it's some sort of Scottish word. I don't know. I haven't got a clue what that's. I really have not got a clue. We need to get to 14 down. Child say, in part of pool, with lower energy, not disheartened. Child say, okay. I think this is dependent. I'm not sure it is that, but the reason I quite like that as a thought is part of the pool is the deep end. And if I lower E for energy, and E is a valid abbreviation for energy, E equals mc squared, for example. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. That's an equation we all know, so if you're in any doubt, that should trigger the thought that E could be abbreviated to, or energy could be abbreviated to E. So deep end, take one of the E's at the start there and lower it slightly, and we can get that, can't we? Yeah, and that yes, one of the early E's has been put right to the end, and then not disheartened is saying literally dishearten, take out the central letter of the word not, and that would give us dependent, and a child might be described as a dependent. So let's look at 13 across again. Eastern translation. Producer. Oh, that's vicious. That is vicious, right? I mean, it's very clever, to be fair. It's very clever. So, one of the things I talked about at the start is the importance of being able to divide the clue in the correct place between the definition and the wordplay. And I did this completely incorrectly in this clue because I still am very surprised that you mustn't read this as one down. It's so natural to do that, isn't it? But if you do, you won't understand it. Because literally, what you have to do here is cut the clue between the one and the word down. And if we cut it there and then look back at the clue, can we think of a down producer that would fit as an answer here? Well, how about the eider, the duck that produces down, as in eider down? That would work. And now, let's read the clue again to understand why. Eastern, that can be E. A translation of the, well, a translation of the in German, der, die, and das are words that mean the, so let's try der, D-E-R. And that all inspires, it takes in 1, I. That is the Roman numeral for the number 1. And that gives us eider. That's an absolute brilliancy. So it's nothing to do with the word fob at all. Oh, let's go back to this one then. Hangout. Hangout is somewhere you might haunt in a sort of colloquial sense. Go to your local hangout and hang around there. Oh, so what's this then? Eat. I suppose if you eat something. Oh, goodness, yeah. Right. There is a... Tay is a Scottish word. It means something. I thought it meant take, but maybe it means put. So I think this is... If you stuff... I mean, stuff can have a lot of meanings, but one of the meanings is to eat. And then a Scottish word for to put, and which I think is going to be TAE, and that's reversed. It's put backwards. So I'm definitely not changing that answer, but let's check. TAE. I thought it was take. Oh, it means a lot of things. Scots form of toe, to, and to, also in the phrase. I mean, we'd have to look at all of these. Oh no, so it's Scots to. It's the word. It's literally the Scottish word for to, to, and that. So back here, it's actually put back. Is telling us to reverse it. It could have just been back, but it's actually put back. That's quite difficult as well. This is a great puzzle. 18 down. A slip crossing over large ditch. Well, we've already said that large is probably L from t-shirt labels. It can, just to be aware of it, it can be OS sometimes, which is an abbreviation for, I think, outsize or oversize. So a slip crossing over large. Oh, okay. There's another thought I've had here. I've got this now. Right. So, again, we've got to be careful with how we read the clue, because crossing over here could mean put a word for a slip around the outside of an abbreviation for L, abbreviation for large L. But what if there was an abbreviation for over? And there is, from cricket scoring, and it is O. So what about if it was a slip crossing O and L for over and large? Well, that would allow us to put that in the middle of this. And now we need a word for ditch that fills in here. And if you ditch something, you abolish it. And a bish is a word for sort of an own goal, a mistake. So we've got a bish around OL, and we get abolish. And now we can look at 28 across. So, thesp. That could be ham, as in a bad actor. Thesp is a thespian, I presume. Thesp and Frances Main. Female novelist. Hammerstein. Oscar for musicals. Getting Oscar. I mean, it's trying to say you're getting an award, the Oscar. But what about Hammerstein, as in Rogers and Hammerstein? That seems much more likely. Thesp would be ham. A French word for the main. The main is the sea, isn't it? The Spanish main, you might have heard. That means the sea. So what's the French word for sea? Mer, M-E-R. Female novelist, Gertrude Stein. And that gives us Hammerstein. So that's going to be right. 21 down. Revolutionary woman's movement with time for old symbolic item. I'm thinking totem. I don't know if that's right though. I'm just put it in and see if we can understand why it might be right. Revolutionary women's movement. Right. This is very clever. Okay. So what is a modern women's movement? Hashtag Me Too. Okay, so what about if we reverse Me Too? What would we then get? We'd get something that almost looked like this, except that this letter would be an O. If we revolutionize or turn upside down Me Too, we get this, which isn't a word. But with time for old, Well, T can be abbreviated to time. You may see V equals U plus AT. Let's take one of the laws of motion. And O can be old. So if we replace this O with a T, we can get totem, which is a symbolic item. It's a very clever clue again, isn't it? 25 across. Spooners inhabited part of Western Europe's land. Oh. Spooner. When this comes up, and it comes up probably 2 or 3 times a week in the Times, it's a reference to the Reverend Spooner, who always, you know, if you can think of an expression, dusty bin, there's an expression, would switch the first letters around, so that would become busty din. So something like that's going on here. So Spooners inhabited. I don't know whether the answer is going to be part of Western Europe's land or just a general word for land. My brain isn't giving me any clues. Naughty brain. Okay, let's try this one. Oh my goodness. A bum intro playing French folk music. Well, when I see a bum intro there and I'm looking at a 9-letter clue, I'm thinking it's an anagram of a bum intro, especially with the word playing being the anagram indicator, and the answer is going to be French folk music, and I have no clue what that is going to be. Tambourin or something. I think I've seen a word like that before. Something like that. A bum. I mean, that is the right letters. So that might be right. That might be right. I mean, I'm very prepared to change any of these letters. If any of these are not looking good for the checking letters, we will change them. So let's... I was going to say magazine. Wrong number of letters. Don't know. 16 down. Well, this is good start. Lifted a jewel. Well, why don't I lift a gem there? That gets mega, which would be a very nice way to start. Megaphone. Oh, no, it's a lot of work. This is going to be a physics expression. Megajoule. Yeah, that's right. A joule is a unit of work, isn't it? So a unit of energy. So this is lovely. Lifted a jewel. So that's lifting, reversing A and gem. Note the importance of the A in the clue there. That is necessary for this A in the answer. With another picked up. What does picked up mean? If you see picked up in a cryptic crossword, it means heard. It indicates a homophone. So here, we don't write jewel, J-E-W-E-L. We write a homophone for jewel, which is that. And a megajoule must be a lot of work. It's I don't know technically what it is, but it's an impressive unit of work. And we get a J in 22. Should I have been on the lookout for a pangram? Often very good constructors will try and achieve something extra in their grids. So if we look here, have we seen any? We've seen W, we've seen K, we've seen J, but we haven't seen Z or Q, have we? Or X. So it probably isn't going to be a pangram, but keep an eye out, especially if you get stuck. I mean, imagine if this was jacuzzi, for example. That would be... It's not jacuzzi. Ashes holder. Punching Aussie bounder. That's going to be a joey. An Aussie bounder is a reference to something that jumps in Australia. So can we think... And we know kangaroo, but can I think of any other words for kangaroo that are short synonyms? Maybe that begin with J. Well, I can think of Joey, which I think is a small kangaroo. So it's urn. Yeah, it's an urn for an ashes holder. Those cricketers watching will know that. With Joey around it, and if you a tour might be a journey. Should we try? Did we look at 7 across? Oh no, we didn't. We should look at this. Elements making water. H or hydrogen and oxygen. Yeah, hog. So the elements making water are hydrogen and oxygen. They're in the periodic table. They are H and O. G can be good as an abbreviation. Let's just justify that. I don't know where that one comes from. but it will be here because I've seen it before. There it is. Good. VG might be very good. I'm trying to think. Anyway, to hog is to keep to oneself. So actually, perhaps we should have looked in the top right earlier. Let's try this one. Husband, that can be H. Shows Sue a way to control stock. A way to control... Oh, not stock, shock. Oh, hair, some hairspray. You get a shock of hair, don't you? Okay, husband is H. If you show something on television, you air it. So in the plural, airs. Yeah, I think if you sue, you pray, don't you? You petition, certainly. If you sue for something, if you sue for peace, you petition for it, you pray for it. So I think hairspray is going to be the answer there. A way to control your hair. And then what's this one? Rival of Reading or reading. Rival of Reading. Close to losing. The closing letter of the word losing is G, so that could be that. Final playing Inter. Glastonbury. A rival of the Reading Festival is the Glastonbury Festival. Oh, another thing's flown in and flown out again. Okay, so how is this wording? Close to losing is the closing letter of the word losing, G. The final is the last. If you're playing, you're on stage, aren't you? And if you inter something, you bury it. So the clue is trying to make you think about playing Inter Milan or something, isn't it? A rival to Reading Football Club playing Inter Milan. No. That's out. Discard all of those thoughts from your mind and simply think of short synonyms for the words in the clue and ignore the capitalisation, which is jolly naughty. So what's this? Oh, so this is going to be... Shiva, isn't it? Okay, so certain Muslims, the Shia, I think, is a branch of Islam. Hosting very, well, V can be very, and that would give Shiva, and Shiva is certainly a Hindu god, or goddess, I think. I want to say Vishnu, Shiva. I mean, Shiva is definitely right. So, what's this then? Bayu? No, koi poo, perhaps, for furry animal. Yeah, if you're shy, you're koi. If you have a lead in a game or a match, you are up in it, and that's twisted round, and that gives koi poo. You might not have heard. I don't know how common koi poos are outside of the word of crosswords, where they're quite common. But a koi poo is a large South American aquatic rodent, also now found wild in Europe, and the source of nutria fur. Who would have thought it? And there are a lot of weird letters going on here, but none of the really obscure ones. So where should we look now? Should we try 23 or should we try this one? Let's try 23. This person, breaking funny bone, petrified mother. This is a biblical reference, I think. In the Bible, wasn't Niobe turned to stone? And therefore, so this person is I. Breaking funny bone, that's saying anagram bone. So put the I in an anagram of bone, we get Niobe, petrified mother. So, okay, let's try that one now. 19, speed. Well, speed could be C. We talked about speed of light earlier. And ecstasy, under 100. Oh, no, it won't be. Under 100, because C can be 100 as well, as in century. Pounds. This is going to mean pounds, I think. Oh, probably. It could be 100. Pounds can be L. So I'm wondering now whether it's CL. No, I don't like that. It's interesting the A here in the clue, isn't it? What's that doing? I mean, this constructor is clearly brilliant. So I would be quite surprised. I'm actually thinking maybe this isn't C for 100. Because speed and ecstasy is under £100. I suppose the A, it certainly improves the surface, but it's not. Speed. Pounds. I think it's going to mean pounds. That's what I think. If you pound something, you crunch it. Crunches would be too many letters. You pound crushes? Yeah, crushes is better, isn't it? That's interesting though. So that A is arguably superfluous in the wordplay. So how does this work? Right. Well, as I said, we're looking for a word that means pounds, and I think that's crushes. And under 100, let's ignore the A there, an abbreviation for 100 is C. Now C is not an abbreviation for 100. So if we look at C, I think it will just say, this is the sum of $100, but I mean it might be, there we go, 100 from Roman numerals. So anyway, so that's what this C is. And under that, so underneath there's a down clue, so underneath that we put a word for speed. If you speed somewhere, you rush there. And ecstasy apostrophe S. Well, ecstasy can be E, as in a tab of E, and that apostrophe S is saying that is the S that comes after that apostrophe. So that gives us crushes. So is this touchdown then? Oh, if you land, you do touchdown, don't you? Dutch town. That's brilliant. Okay, so spoonerize touchdown, and hear it in your mind. Dutch town, and a Dutch town would be part of Western Europe, wouldn't it? An inhabited part of Western Europe would be a Dutch town. So change the initial letters around, we get touchdown, which is to land. That's brilliant. This is a brilliant puzzle. So this is going to be what then? Perhaps, a novice could be a nun. Yeah, that's right. So, okay, this is a slightly controversial one as well. News entertaining for all. How is that giving none? Have a think about that if you're not sure, because it's an interesting. So the reason this works is because N is a valid abbreviation for the word new. Now, what we will find if we look at the dictionary, and this is where the pedantry that certainly is part of cryptic, so there's new there for N, can be important. If we look under double N, for example, there is no abbreviation of double N. Something else has flown in now. That looks like a wasp. I don't like it when wasps fly under my desk. But anyway, double N is not an abbreviation for news, is it? So the way you have to read this is the plural is new can be N, and in the plural what the constructor is trying to say is that two words new, N-E-W, might give NN. Now, some people would say, no, that's not fair. You can't expect the solver to read news here as two words, two units of the word new, and abbreviate each one. I don't mind it. I think it's fine. But how does it work? If you can read news in the plural as meaning NN, why is that? Why is for all U? Well, this is from cinema. If you have a U film, it is universal. It is for everybody to see. So that gives us none, N-U-N, which is perhaps a novice, and that is going to be the answer to the puzzle, which was brilliant. Let's just check tambourine. I'm not changing any of the answers, so let's check tambourine and see if it, what was it, a French something, French music. A Provençal dance or dance tune with drone bass. That's wonderful. It's a really good puzzle, isn't it? We looked up Caravel. I'm sorry if you can hear an enormous wasp that has flown in. Now, okay, so we're going to submit this. We'll submit it without the leaderboard because I wasn't racing. But some of you do like to see me try and go a bit faster, so I will do the quick cryptic at speed now, hopefully, and we'll see. So I won't be talking about this one. I'm just gonna go pedal to the metal and let's see what we can do. Ignore the wasp. Ignore the wasp. Ignore the wasp. This is how spies left informal gathering. I don't know. I want to say no, I don't know. Pia is said to be childish. That wasp is getting closer. A little insult angers sovereign. I don't know what that is. This is going very badly. Hilltop, not very high. Undemanding. Low down or something. I don't know. An argument about river dart. This is okay. This is awful. Sorry. Okay, that's Pardoner from the Canterbury Tales. Let's try that one. Take side off piece of furniture to make it fit. No, believer is quiet and strangely hesitant. No, I haven't got that. This is, I mean, normally the quick crossword is quick. With a cutting edge, youth pierces couch. No, what's going on? This is weird. That's Tatar. Heat of battle at mountain height. No, I want that to be something ending in TOR, but that doesn't seem to be correct. If I looked at that one, yes. Assisting girl with jewellery. That's probably going to end in ring. Foolish time to put identifying mark into deer. I am really disturbed by the fact that there is a wasp near me. Mince remains hot. Just go away. I don't know if you could see that, but it came very close. Covering small area of unproductive land. I think it might have flown out now. Right, now we can really concentrate. 10 across, an argument, a tiff, a row, dart, arrow. There we go. Okay, let's try 7 down. Fresh flood defence for Notts Town. Newark. Gosh, that's a good clue. A new arc for flood defence. That's quite funny. Engineers manage a rerun. Pier, Baron. Baron like that. It's homophone, so you've got to be careful with that one. Scotsman, what's that going to be? Alistair. Alas, died before broadcast, yeah. Suffered from exposure, but survived. Suffered from. Don't know. Have I looked at this one? Oh. This is an anagram of hesitant. After a P, probably. So that would give us a T here. Time to pay for freedom in the bar. Transom is a type of bar, I think. Is this Dead Set? Where Dad can swim with ease. Dead Sea. That's a very good clue. This is a very good puzzle. Covering small area of unproductive land. Sheath is a cover, and S Heath is how that works. Heat, warmth, war, mountain, MT, and then H for height. Okay, this feels much harder than a normal quick cryptic. What was this one? No, don't want to look at that. I need to get one across. This is how spies left. a social. This is how so CIAL, right. A little insult angers sovereign. Sultan. It's a hidden. Good clue. Can't complain about that. Undemanding. Hilltop, not very high. Something lowbrow. Oh, that's easier than I made it look. Primp cowslip. Cow's lip. It's part of an animal's mouth. Take side of piece of furniture. To make it fit. If you're fit, you're able, with table without T. With gold artist and aura. Suffered from exposure, but survived. Oh, I should be able to get that. Can't. Assisting. Oh, the name of a girl, and then probably ring at the end. That would give us an I. A friend from America returning by one Muslim country. A friend from America. Muslim country. Should be able to get that, shouldn't I? Spotted insect and hen, may one say. Don't know. Wow. Foolish time to put identifying mark into deer. What's good a deer going to be then? Probably going to be roe or something, or elk. I'm going to actually have to get one of these. Suffered from exposure. Weathered, maybe. So I suppose if you weather a storm, you survive it, don't you? A believer. I think my reading of the clue here. Pantheist is the answer. Oh, wow, it's not the easiest word ever. Assisting. If you assist, you. Girl's name, Anne. With jewellery. Why can't I think of the girl's name? Assisting in... Oh, I don't know. Let's try this one then again. With hen, one may one say. A hen is something that lays eggs. Spotted insect. Oh, 16 down. With a cutting edge. Youth pierces couch. Bladed. Lad in bed. Ladybird. A ladybird, yeah, that is literally what a hen is. That's a very clever clue. Oh, enable. Oh, bling for jewellery. Enabling. Assisting. Dubai then. Oh, bud. From American friend. Ledger, debit. That's right. I've only got one left now. Dotage. Wow, that was hard. That's as difficult a quick crossword as I've seen in the Times. Have I misspelt anything? No. That's pretty poor, actually. 8 minutes, that is very poor. Very poor. No excuses, just exceptionally bad. And for that, I apologise profusely. But I hope those of you who are newer to cryptic crosswords have learned something from watching this and have enjoyed watching this. That's the main thing. And if you did, if you wouldn't mind leaving a kind comment or liking the video or even subscribing, we'd be really, really grateful. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.